Welcome to A New Perspective. I am Apostle Felicia Berry. I am sitting here with some of the leadership team of ANew Church. I am excited to have you guys here. Thank you for joining me. It's exciting to have my spiritual children on. This is another podcast where we're speaking leaders to leaders, and this is National Leadership Day. And I thought it was fitting that we would gather together and have a conversation concerning those who are on the leadership team that help their senior leaders. Now, ANew has went through some transition, and I can say as a senior leader that we are a totally different people. Like, God has truly done a new thing, and that's not a play on words. He has truly done a new thing in each and every one of our lives, including the senior leadership, down to the babies in the ministry. It has been phenomenal to see the work of God's, the perfect work of God and his hands on this ministry and each individual, both collectively and individually. And all the other podcasts I'm not sure where this is going to line up at, but I didn't bring any notes. I just flowed. But this one, I wanted to make sure that I captured everything that God wanted me to discuss with you guys. Again, I thank you for coming because this was a last minute to do. We had something else planned with another leader, but unfortunately they fell sick. You know, things is going around, and the Lord just dropped all of you, like handpicked all of you guys in my spirit and said, we should have a conversation. And I was kind of teetering, to be honest, on the conversation. I'm like, maybe it could be for another reason or another time. But Elder T, she called me at the moment I was thinking it. I was like, well, you know, I was going to shelf it. And she called me. She said, Apostle, I was thinking, and I couldn't believe it. She was telling me the things that was already in my spirit. I said, you are in the spirit. This is going to take place. This is going to happen. So that's why I got Elder T, and I said, call these folk up and tell them they're going to have to take a half a day from work because we got something to do. So I don't just see this as a good idea. I really see this as a God idea. And for all of us to speak, not our truths, but the truth. Yes. And I first want to start off by saying that coming into leadership, I first had to submit myself to leadership. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't always agree with my leadership, you know, and sometimes I was probably thick-headed about a lot of things. But I realized being in leadership now that I may have thought I felt the weight of the leader until I stepped into the leadership role. And now I understand the burden of leadership, the attacks, the responsibility, the warfare, the different things of that nature. And I believe it's important that we hear it from you guys' perspective and hear it from the perspective of us being transformed in our minds of how to help in a great way of leadership, to help the leadership, and to be honest about where we truly was before. You know, I could, unfortunately, Bishop is absent, but I can speak for myself. I know I am a leader that I don't want to say rule with an iron fist, but is very firm. I'm very firm, and I'm not a passive leader. I'm one that if God said it, that's what we're going to do. And that's how it's going to happen. That's how I am. And I know, like, everyone has different temperaments and the ability to deal with different things. From your perspective, what have you learned about yourself from when we first was Cornerstone to now to ANew and in dealing with being a help to the leadership rather than being a burden or a liability. Even in your posture of believing you were right in the space that you were thinking. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah, I want everybody, we're going to take our time with this because we're going to be very candid. We're going to be very truthful. And I want you to know that Apostle has thick skin. She can take it. She really can take it. So, yeah, because I really believe that this will truly help people. Because a lot of times we think that in leadership, that things should go our way. We also think that we can be very opinionated. And honestly, there are times where you can be very right. You understand? You could be very right about a thing, but you are not responsible for the thing. You understand? And what position you play in it. I could keep on talking, so I'm going to let I can feel some of y'all spirit. Let somebody else break the ice. Leave me alone. Let somebody else, and then I'll go. But you know what? I'm going to let Elder T go first because she and we didn't have a conversation, but she was saying what was on her heart when, her and I were speaking about this. You could go first, Elder T.
You said so many things, and I feel like I have so many that I want to address.
Yeah.
What you said, but I feel like the first thing that I wanted to say is that one of the things that God showed me was that I was extreme. I want to say I was very arrogant. I was very self-willed. I was very self-righteous. A lot of that, very, very prideful. It all breaks down to a lot of pride. I think I knew better. And instead of me submitting myself, what I did, I kicked up a lot against what was said to me. And I feel like, there were certain times where I thought that because I was a certain age, because I felt like I was mature, because I felt like I've been in this for a while, like, okay, well, it's not like I'm stupid. It's not like I don't know. So, I felt like I didn't have to, not that I felt like I didn't, well, let me rerun that. No, I felt like I didn't have to listen because I felt like I knew. And to be honest, I did not handle it very well. Rather than, and you could, and I want to speak to the type of leaders that you and Bishop are. Like, y'all are leaders that y'all would rather us come talk to you. Y'all have an open door where we can come and say, I have an issue with this. Like you encourage us to speak our mind. But because of my filthy mind and because of my my filthy thinking, I wasn't in the right place where I could even realize that. Like, I didn't even, think that way. I didn't think to come to you. And because of that, I felt it built a wall, a separation, so to speak. I couldn't, because I didn't submit myself, I couldn't receive the love and give the love that I was supposed to in the way that it was supposed to.
And what's interesting from what you are saying is that you didn't express this. Like, and I'm not saying express this to us, I'm saying there was no evidence of this is how you felt. You understand? Right. Like, there was no evidence because you did what you were supposed to do. You appeared to be the example. You understand what I'm saying? And people could look at you and say, oh, she's doing what she's supposed to do. But deep down inside, some stuff was inside of you or how you felt. I could feel all of y'all. But and sometimes we can be fooled because we're not acting out. You understand? Like, we're not acting out. If I was to put it anyway, we're behaving well. And I'm not kicking against the bricks, so to say. Right. When they say something, I say yes. And when they ask for something, I do it. You understand? So there's nothing that would show that I'm going against them.
And that's what I was talking about the self-righteousness, because you fall into a place of, I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do. I'm where I'm supposed to be at the time I'm supposed to be there. And so you start to feel like I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So what else is there?
Yeah.
It almost, if y'all don't have the book, y'all make sure y'all go out and get Beyond Assistance, okay? Because it's in the book too.
Yeah.
But I will say, it has to be beyond me. I had to come to a place where it's not about me.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be all about God. It's about God, or it's all Him or it's nothing.
Yeah.
Because even if you don't come to a place where you get beyond yourself, like you will still sit up there. You'll get tired of being kind. You'll get tired of being nice.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get tired and you don't want to do it. But when you are really striving to give God your all, like there's no question, like this has to be done.
Yeah.
And Lord, it's beyond my limitations, so it must be you.
Yeah. Y'all can jump in. Y'all can jump in.
Ooh.
I'll
I'll take a stab at it. Just hearing Elder T talk about different things that she went through, because I could identify with myself. I was extremely self-righteous. I was so full of pride, and I was rebellious. Mm-hmm. I was a silent rebellion, because I'm causing the cohort and I'm getting people together and stuff like that. It was a silent rebellion where I would say yes, but at the same time, on the inside, I'm rebelling and I'm bucking up against what's being said. And now, when I look at when I think about the transition from Cornerstone to ANew, how that transition time, I lack transformation in Cornerstone.
Wow.
And it's like, because you think about the invitation Jesus gave you to be transformed, and I did not accept that invitation fully. So it was one of those things that what's in you will always come out. And God had a way of showing me that through my job. Like, He showed my lack of submission through my job, that this is not just your job, this is in life. You have a lack of submission. It's with ministry, it's with your husband, it's with the church, it's with everything. It's a lack of submission there. And it took a lot of taking that time to really process through different things that I have failed to address. Because for so long, you would dress things up and make it look pretty and, put yourself together. And nobody would think that these secret things are going on the inside of you, or that it's this war that's happening on the inside of you. But God, He knows everything. And it's one of those things, like, it reminded me of the story in the Bible, talk about the sons of Korah. And I'm like, if I didn't get my act together, the earth literally would have swallowed me up. It's one of those things that God, He's really after those people who put on images, make it seem like they're with the man of God, they're with the woman of God, but it's not so. Your heart posture is saying something totally different than what your mouth is saying. And that was my story for so long. And God, He really got me together with that. Like, Lord, I'm pushing forth the vision of the house now. It's coming up with my own vision, coming up with my own solution. So
that's
a lot
good.
to unpack right here.
That's good. Yeah.
It's so many thoughts going in my head, and I can almost see similarities in both of how your perspective's coming from. And because, and you know how you say in your case you were raised up in the church, it wasn't more coming from that. It was me not understanding my relationship with God, and I feel like that was a foundation, because I feel like to serve Him and to serve His man and woman servant, right? Your relationship needs to be sound, and that was more of, and it's not saying I was coming in Sunday after Sunday and not doing, I wasn't applying the work. And that only gets you to, it's like, a certain place.
Yeah.
And you rise up. So at a certain point, you have to start addressing the you.
Yeah.
And I'm finding that as I started getting my relationship together with God, it became easy. Now, do I say all the time, is it, do you fully automatically understand when your leaders tell you something? And no, I'm not telling you that. But it allows you to take that moment after for the Holy Spirit and God to minister to you, so you can see God and what He's doing through your leader. Because And I find it no coincidence, Apostle, like your personality, God knows what He's doing through each and one of us. And he knew you, and He knew me. And he was doing something. And I feel like maybe it was simultaneously at the same time, sleeping and moving. And where he let me know early on, like, this is for my betterment, and it's not to, because it can be easy, especially if you got your internal issues that you're dealing with. It's easy to get into a woe me, to get into I can't never get nothing right kind of.
Yeah.
And changing your perspective. I know perspective, changing your perspective on stuff, right? It really does change how you're going through stuff.
It absolutely does.
If my stance over here is this is for the betterment of me, versus my stance over here was, wow,
Yeah.
Like before it can even get in to do what it's doing, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's
I
the
get you.
how you're opening it and how you're seeing stuff. And to know, because if you see everything as an attack, you're ready to defend,
right?
You're ready to fight. You should be like this. You know what I mean? And understanding that this is edification for myself, not an attack. And this, like, coming into leadership, these were the things inwardly I had to deal with in my personal life. So therefore, when I showed up to leadership, you know what I'm saying? Because even when I heard Minister say something, it even helped me to listen to my husband, that knowing when my husband is speaking and when Minister is speaking. So, because and that's another thing you got to realize when people are multifaceted in your life, when they
that's good. That's good.
And
And you to the point of what you're saying, that was, oh God, that was so good. You can be in service and it's always like, this again. Oh God. You know, and when you find yourself in that manner, it's time to step back. Because it's more of a task to you. It's more of an obligation to you. You don't find joy in being used by God, you know, and you don't understand why you're really there. Like, what is service? You know, what truly is service? And so when you say that, when you start to see things from a different perspective, you're able to thrive in the anointing that God gave you to be a support to the ministry, to be a support to the man and the woman of God, to be a support to even those that you will have to counsel, or you have such a clearer perception of things that you're even able to counsel wisely. You're even able to redirect, and everything doesn't have to fall on the leader. Nobody has to always keep going to the leader, because I have the leader's heart in mind. I have the righteousness of God, the holiness of God, where I know how to redirect in the word of God. And if I know how to do that, it makes the leader's job lighter. You take the burden off of. But if I am a liability in leadership, then there's no way I can help individuals, let alone myself.
So, man, this is really good. So, being someone who went through pride, being a spoiled brat, and just wanting to do things my way and move on my own timing, it's like I had to understand being at Cornerstone and just going through the motion of things versus coming to a new, there was a transition that had to be made. It came to a point where there was a transformation of mind that had to happen. It's almost like someone that comes to a crossroad. There's a decision that you have to make.
That's it, Prophet.
You have to be firm. You have to be intentional about your decision. You have to be serious about the decision that you make, no matter which way it went. However, I knew that where God was taking ANew, that I had to make a decision. I couldn't no longer be in a place where I was going through the motion, where people would coddle me or people would stop to see about me, whereas though I was actually expecting that to happen. So there was a stepping up and a growing up that I had to do as well. And you know, it's not by default that I ended up finding Cornerstone, because of the fact that I didn't need to be in a ministry where someone would stroke me and coddle my feelings. I needed to be someone that under a ministry with someone that was firm, that was going to tell me what it is, but at the same time understanding, knowing like, okay, if I push too much more in this area, she's going to break. But if I just press on this area a little bit more, it's going to push her and catapult her where she needs to be.
Yeah.
And that's what I appreciated about being in this ministry, because of the fact that I knew that there just comes a point in time where you just can't stay the way you are. And and for anyone that is in this ministry that has decided to stay the way they are, you have opted for a life of rebellion. You have opted for a life of unfruitfulness. And even though I look back and I say, I've lost so much, or I've lost things and things of that nature, I also I can't sulk there, because I had to look at it as even a farmer loses things. However, a farmer doesn't just give up, because even a farmer understands that it's just a season.
Yes.
And a farmer understands, what happened? What took place? Was there something that I did along the way to cause this? Or is there something that I need to learn? They don't just always move forward. And so, with that mindset, it has helped me as well. And it has also helped me in knowing and understanding my senior leaders as well, that they understand and they know what's best for me. They carry God's heart. And so, in those times where I've turned off my ear, or in those times where I'm not hearing the way I should be hearing, it's those times that they're hearing the way that, they're hearing, and they're able to intercede and say, hey, this is what you need to be doing, or hey, try this. And so, it just brings a heart of gratefulness. Anything, on the opposite, it's safe to say that is the enemy working and trying to have its way. To try to have you to focus on the lack, to have you try to focus on the loss, because there's no loss in God. We go through seasons, yes, but there is no loss.
Yeah, that's good. That's real good. Go ahead.
With me is it's arrogance. That's the word that comes to mind, because I was looking at look at me, I'm perfect. It's me. How can you say these things about me?
How can we say these things about you?
I have control issues. I cannot be rebellious. Man, I just thought so highly of myself. Like, I was just perfect. It's like, it's a blessing for me to be here. Like, how can you tell me these things? I'm showing up every Sunday. I'm paying my time. I'm just doing what I'm told to do. Like, how can you say this about me? It's me. But no, the Lord said, I gotta break you down. So it take a lot. Like, it's sad, because I was one, like, I had to be stripped of everything before I can depend on God. And it's like, that's a bad place to be. I try to warn people that have the same issues I have. You don't want to be like, it's a long road to travel, but I thank God that I got with it quick. I heard him, and I listened to him, and it's like, I had to realize too that my leaders, or my mother, my father, in the spirit, they care about my soul. It's a responsibility over everybody's soul for our senior leaders. So, like, when you telling me something, instead of me saying, like, why are they saying this, I had to just believe that it's true about me. Because I know y'all really do. I know that God really deals with you guys. I know that for a fact, because you guys are not lying prophets. So why would I even question that? But me and my being thick-headed, I question everything and want to know more, and I had to deal with the consequences. So it's like I had to realize that God sent you for a reason. It's a reason why these things are happening. Because I thought I was perfect. I thought I had no issues. And the more the Lord did with me, the more He broke me down. I started seeing it more and more. I'm like, man. So the transition from Cornerstone to ANew, He was just breaking me out of all my old habits and breaking me. My most issue was me versus me. I was my own hindrance. I was fighting. It's funny, because I was fighting against myself for a few years. It's like one day, I think it was Bishop preaching, and he was like, you just got dealing with the same problems every. I'm like, man, I'm like, that's me. I'm dealing with the same thing over for years. I'm dealing with this, but I was covering it up. I wasn't being honest. And then what the Lord do? He brought us up there. Listen, have you did this? Have you did this? He was just breaking everything out of me that was a hindrance to me. And now I can be more effective in the ministry. It's just a beautiful thing. And we always say, like, we're an army. I call it special forces. We're like the Rangers, man. And it's like, I don't want to be a weak link. I don't want to have to come back in the trenches while the enemy's shooting to come get me out of there. Because I'm hurting. You know what I'm saying? Because of a self-inflicted wound. You know? It's nothing that the enemy did say. It's me versus me. I just thank God that I was finally able to get so low that he can build me back up.
That's good.
That's a good thing. Like not to hold things in your heart, not to not like when your leaders come to you, they know the Lord is telling things about you. He's dealing with you, like, and you know, we think we can't take it personal.
And you know, in transition, a lot of times as like senior leaders or lead leaders, there are times where people can exempt themselves from growth or maturity. And do the pointing of the finger, like you make sure you do this, you make sure you do it. God showed me this about you. God showed me that. But when you can be amongst leaders that can confess and confirm that God is dealing with them too, and you see the evidence of the transformation right before your eyes, because I'm sure that and I make a boast in the Lord. I'm sure that you can see the difference from this moment to this moment to this moment to this moment in each of your leaders. Like you can tell the difference. And with me, I can speak for myself, it's the softening of the heart. I had a few spiritual children. I remember the Lord telling the men that he was going to soften their heart, and he's doing it. He's faithful. He is really doing it. But at the same time, I believe that when I spoke it over their lives, that he was even doing something in me to soften more of my heart, and to a place of knowing when you have authority and you don't have to necessarily use it. It's like you don't have to use it. And trusting the God in those that you say you trust. You know, because in the Bible, a lot of times, and I think I may have mentioned this before or in the podcast, I can't really remember, but Jesus didn't spend a lot of time with everyone. He chose his 12 and he poured into them. He invested into them. And I see it as that in the church, that you need a team that you truly can trust. You do. You need a team that you can trust and that you would not second guess. Yes, you know, we all gonna be who we are. You understand what I'm saying? But it never comes to a place where you don't believe you can't depend on a person, or you don't believe that you can't call on a person, or you don't believe that you can't leave something in a person's hands and it will, they can accomplish the task. And this is where God has ANew at, that it's no longer ran by just the head, it's ran by the team. The team of leadership. Like I can remember there are sometimes people question me. I said, I don't know. You better go ask elder so-and-so. And I can recall that it was a time it wasn't like that. Like, even if I told you to do something, I'm still, did you do this? Did you do it? Did you do, what happened? Did you go? And then I'm giving instruction. You ain't got cosign like that. I'm giving instruction. Now you need to go do this and do this. Like, only time I mention something is if it's not done. I'm like, what happened? Who dropped the ball? This was supposed to be accomplished. This was supposed to be done. And so God was doing a work in me to have the capacity to trust people and not think that you got to do everything and you got to run and you. Let me tell you, my bed be warm. I ain't gotta jump up out that bed. I'm like, call them, they'll do it. You know, it's because God has done something in me. Like, and even if people even try to come and tell me, well, so-and-so, well, you need to go back to that leader because they are the ones who are in charge. We don't overstep our bounds here. They in charge. That's where, if they have a problem, then the leader will come to us. The leader will let us know. But we don't entertain such things because that means we're stripping your authority away from you. And so, you know, God has like done something truly miraculous miraculous in this ministry. He has fortified us so much that we can have confidence in each and every leader. He has fortified us so much. And to the point of when I first came to ministry, it was told to me, if you want to please all the people, become an entertainer, not a leader.
That's right.
Because you're not going to be able to please God and please man at the same time. And I know that because of you all's temperament, I know, now that I'm looking at all of you, your temperament, it's difficult sometimes to stand firm in the things you need to stand firm in. So how have you juggled that? Like, dealt with that? Like, no, I have to stand. I consider what they're going through. I know what's happening. However, I know the whole story. Yes, like I get the whole picture. And if I be lenient on this, or if I do this, or if I tweak this for that, something might fall apart. Yeah. So how do I remember? I'm gonna start with Minister Elaine. She said to me, Apostle, the Lord's doing something in me. I'm like I can't remember the words you used. You said, like I'm
rare form.
I'm in rare form. I said, no, you in the form. You just caught up. Like you're in the form. This is who you are, And she was like, yeah, Apostle, you're right. That's who you just caught up to who you are. That's all. Yeah. Yeah. So how do you handle that when people say you acting funny, you different, or well, how do you handle that if that is being said?
I feel like I'm in a place right now where I am unapologetically who I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, that's good.
Because you could go around apologizing. I forget when we had the leadership classes, and it's like, you don't need to apologize. Sometimes I thought, well, I had to apologize for taking up space, but saying what I'm really supposed to say, and then, the backlash I may come from it. But now I'm in a place where time is winding down. I'm going to say what I need to say, shake the dust off my feet, and keep it moving. And I feel like that's a beautiful place and posture to be in God.
Yeah.
You're not afraid of men in their faces and how they may feel or how they may misconstrue what you say. I'm going to say whatever God tells me to say. I'm going to unapologize. I'm not apologizing anymore for being who I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, that's good.
For so long I would do that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then you can respectfully tell someone, like, hey, this is what's going on. And if you continue in this manner, this is what happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll
Because y'all all alike when it comes to this. Yeah, like, oh, I'm sorry.
And that's definitely for sure. I would apologize a lot to a point where, I had to be spoken to about that. Now I hear Islam that like, no apologies. But however, I'm finding the peace that I find with that. If God said it, okay. 2, I'm not coming to hurt nobody.
Yeah.
So that gives me the peace of the like, I trust God to deal with the person. As long as I'm handling them right as God sees fit. Because the truth is, right, you got to know those that you labor among.
Yes.
So when you're dealing with a type or a certain person, the Lord will give you just got to do it and trust that He will. And I'm finding, because a lot of times I find that I was in my head about a lot of
Yeah.
Like, I done did this whole thing. I done thought they was going to have a meltdown. And they like, okay. So that just lets you know, like I done made up some of the scenario too. And therefore, if someone is offended, I pray that the Lord will deal with them accordingly. You know what I mean? Like, give them peace to hear what I'm saying and to know that I'm not coming to, but yeah, I do find a peace in that now to come, because I feel like it's like a internal clock that's like, I now understand the older folks saying,
I ain't got time for this. No, you do. You really understand older people now because they know time is winding down. I don't have much time here on this earth, and I don't have time to pity pat with you.
Yeah.
I have to tell you the truth. I have to give you straight how it is. And it's like you said, Minister, just where you said, as long as I handle you properly, I leave you to God. I let God handle and deal with your heart. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So I had to get to a point where I had to stop explaining.
Oh, that's good.
I was always having to explain something to someone so that they can understand
Mhm. Mhm.
because I always wanted to be in a place of reconciliation. I didn't want no bad blood.
Yeah.
But I had to literally start to adapt the spirit of I don't care.
Mhm.
And it's not I don't care
A negative,
where, you
yeah.
know, in a negative way
Yeah.
where they don't want to know my God.
Yeah.
But in a way where I don't have to explain the life that I'm living to you.
Yeah.
Because I've spent so much time going and navigating throughout life according to appease you.
Yeah.
According to how you wanted me to do things.
Yeah.
But as soon as I cut the reins and I decide to find my own way,
Mhm.
it sometimes seems like it's an issue. And I definitely understand what Minister Jessica, like, sometimes we can also be in our own
Yeah.
can make things bigger than what it really is.
Mhm.
And then by the time I'm talking to, like, let's say some of my friends, and I'm like, I'm being ordained as a minister. Like, oh my goodness. Here it is. I'm just gonna be like, oh, sorry. I'm gonna talk to you anymore, you know, and it's just who's gonna be for you is gonna be for you.
Yeah.
And who's not gonna be for you, you just have to develop a
I
don't care.
Yeah.
And you know, you still pray for them and wish them well.
Yeah.
However, that was just something that was a struggle for me in the beginning because I always had to explain.
Yeah. And you know, it's to the point of what you just said is when you struggle with that in the secular world.
Yes.
When you come into the house of God and you are in the leadership role, you find yourself rehearsing the same thing over again, you know? And then when your leader holds your feet to the fire, then you become like the very people that are against you.
Yes.
You understand? And it can be so hazardous to ministry because you have not walked in your full identity. Yes. You have not embraced your call, you know, and I just believe what the Bible says that we are the body of Christ. We are fitly joined together and each one of us have our functions. And it's not okay for you to say, okay, Elder Tequila, you walk in the spirit of kindness or you walk in the spirit of gentleness and you are supposed to walk in the spirit of firmness and you miss it. Right. We have an unbalanced congregation because everybody now thinks that either everything's supposed to be fluffed up or it could be everybody that's hard and everybody's supposed to just get it. You understand? Like, where is the balance in the ministry? I don't want nobody to take this out of content because that's not what I'm saying. But sometimes your leaders can be blamed because you're not in position.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
And they're operating in the capacity in which they are to operate in. But because you're not where you belong, they're missing the part of you.
Yes.
So, of course, I'll just take for myself the firmness and the boldness and the courageousness that God has me operate in. Too much of that probably destroys somebody's soul.
Yeah.
You understand? But should I be stopping because you're not in the place of where you're supposed to be comforting folk?
Yeah.
You know, you get what I'm saying? Yes. And so this is why we all have to be in our respectable places because then people will get the imbalance of the ministry. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah.
And there won't be any hiccups in the ministry or any not hesitations, but there won't be any delays in the ministry. And you won't be the reason or the cause for the delay. Yeah. Because, you know, and I had to also, like, being a leader, I had to develop the concept, not necessarily I don't care, but
maybe it's needful. It's needful.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's what the Lord said. And this is the season that we're in.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, and it's interesting because, you know, a lot of times how you are in the world, you don't think it can be used, but God has a reason to use that for his, you know, for his ministry.
Yeah.
And like you said, you know, we are all fitly joined together. And it's very important that you understand your role so you can play your position. And that you you operate in it
Yeah.
very well. So that there's no fallout.
So let me say this. So let's get to the real nitty gritty. Let me just buckle your seatbelt. So, because of how Bishop and I are in ministry, some people can perceive Bishop to be a sucker. They could perceive him to be a sucker, and they could perceive me to be dominant over the and really believe that I control the ministry. I call the shots. I call it, and I'm just gonna say it. I'm not talking about where we are right now. I'm talking about where we were before. I could see it in some of our leadership because of the way that you all conducted yourself. You would come to me about certain things. You would come to Bishop about certain things, you know. But if you really paid attention, we both always said the same thing.
Yeah.
We might have said it in a different way, but we said the same thing. Bishop and I was always on one accord. And sometimes when you don't know your leadership and you don't know how, per se, the engine runs, how God has the engine to run in this ministry, you can be looking, you can have an expectation of this ministry that you will never get because it's not here.
Right.
This is not how he has caused it to run. Or you can walk out of here saying, let me get my words together, not walk out of here. You can believe that you can have a misconception of the ministry, and you can preach to others about this ministry and give off the wrong, I don't want to say vibe because I do not like vibe, the wrong information about a ministry because you had the wrong perception of the ministry, or you had an expectation of the ministry that you was never going to get.
Right.
Does that make sense to all of you? And I remember several times, some of my spiritual daughters, I could tell this to, I don't think I said it to my sons, but I said it to my spiritual daughters. I would say, I'm not going to change. This is how God made me. Yeah. So if you're looking, because I went in ministry, I had my little phase where I'm trying to change for people. See, y'all wasn't by yourself. I was trying to change for people. And, you know, I got a word from the Lord, and I heard it myself that he told me to be gentle. But I took that thing and I ran another way with it. And boy, I'm going to tell you, I was most miserable trying to do what I thought God told me to do. I was miserable, like, because I was no longer myself. I no longer could be who God really ordained me to be, trying to fit a mold of what people say or what people think I should be in the ministry. And so I want to let you know you wasn't by yourself. I was dealing with things along my journey too. So when we talk about the expectation of this ministry, I'm glad when we made the website, we said, if you look at our website, it says like who we are, the culture of this church and its expression. So you know what you're coming into. You won't be, and that's why we don't open up the doors of our church all the time unless the Lord says to, because we're cultivating sons and daughters. Yes. This is not a membership. Yeah. And if you're looking for a membership, this ain't the place you need to be. And if you're looking to live your life with just how you want to, this ain't the place to be. Like, it's certain things that this is not the place to be. And how did you have to come to terms with it? And I'm going to make you laugh. How did you have to come to terms with it knowing you couldn't leave? Because I've been at I gotta laugh because I've been at a place where I'm getting up out of here. I got to go. And God will tell me, you ain't going nowhere. you ain't going, because he was exactly what I needed, whether I liked it or not.
Yeah.
He was exactly what I needed. He was a militant man. He was a person that was out of control, and he kept telling me about my self-control. Every time he pulled me in that office, he would say, Sister Fee, you have a problem with your control. You're not disciplined. You need to do something about it. So for you all, I know you probably wanted to leave about 6 or 7 times, maybe even more. But when God brought the sad news to you, you ain't going nowhere.
That's right.
You ain't going nowhere. You're going to have to learn how to get cultivated in this ministry. How did you handle that all?
Well, I as a runner and a reform runner in a track star, I was about to say reform, not reform. You know, and it wasn't that things got. Once again, I'm gonna go back to not dealing with them personal things inside, and trying to walk in leadership and not dealing with those things where it was like, oh no, this is a little much. Feeling like it's a little much.
Yeah.
Once again, my perspective and my view on things were skewed. So that would, so coming to the church, and then it was also, God was letting me know, like, what you don't deal with now, it's just another time.
Yeah.
And then I don't know about some people, but I found it's been in my life where you think you moved on to the next, and it's almost like you didn't complete it. So it'll be another, and then it just might be harder. Like you might just find something, and you have to. For me, I had to get tired of me. Like get tired of running. Get tired of feeling like you do so much progress only to come back to the same spot.
Wow. Yeah.
Thing that you were, and you didn't did, and you can see stuff like this evidence that you didn't did something, but to come back to the same
place.
That therefore lets me know I'm on a cycle somewhere. Like the cycle may have took long to come back, but I still came back.
Still there. Yeah.
And it let me know that this is something with me, because like also you said it, your person. It would be easy for me to accuse your personality because I'm sensitive.
Oh my God, that's good.
With my
that's good, minister. That's good.
A long time ago, the Lord lets me know that it's less about them, and that them could be anyone that's in that place.
Yeah.
It's less about apostle. We're gonna use you as a person. It's less about apostle. It's less about bishop, and this is more about me. And my response, because it was a time where, and I also found that I almost suffered the identity crisis because having my leadership, you know what I mean? You're trying to figure out, like, well, should I be more like this? Should I be more? And that can find you in an identity crisis. And let me tell you, that is more dangerous because you walk in spaces that you're not graced for.
Yeah, that's good.
I can't walk in a posture mantle of how God has something because God didn't grace me for that space.
Yeah.
I can't walk in bishop's manner of temperament because God didn't grace me for that space. And the other thing is you're doing damage to all the people that's around.
That's good.
That you everything that you're serving on, the people that you're serving, you're doing damage because now it's okay for people to be like, who are you? But you know it's rooted in God. Yeah. And I'm like, who are you? You're like, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
If I could answer this question, I didn't handle it very well. I didn't handle that very well. The Lord told me that. I believe what I did, I had conversations with people. And the conversations that I had, it was, I don't know. I don't understand. But it's interesting. We listen to you and Bishop for the good stuff. When we want to hear about the blessings and stuff. But when we get shut down or we get told, no, sit down, or no, not yet, it may not even be a complete no. It's just wait or just whatever. Then we get an attitude where we don't want to listen or we don't want to hear. And so for me, coming through that period of time in my life where I thought I was supposed to leave and all of that kind of stuff, but it was at the moment where I recognized that, okay, suppose you really do leave, what you have left. And then I recognized that what I needed from you was that very thing, that fire, that fierceness, because I had an issue with being a servant. And I was always being nice. I always felt like, I'm being Christian-like if I'm not saying anything, or I'm being Christian-like if I'm being quiet, if I'm not rocking the boat, if I'm not confronting people, you know. So I needed that. And at the time, because of my mindset, because of my perceptions of things, it was always looked at as, what's the word I want to use? It was always looked at as just me being attacked. And but no, I had to. But when God confronted me with the real possibility of you not being a part of my life, you and Bishop not being in my life, that was when it was almost like a wake up call, if that makes sense. But yeah.
If my sister was a runner, I was a backpacker. Man, that spirit of offense ain't no joke.
Yeah, it is.
If I'm offended, I'm out of here. But I had to realize that. For instance, right? I moved out of state before, and it's like you ever see like people or you had deal with a problem like you move out of state. Oh, I'm gonna change my life. I'm going out there. I'm gonna move. But yeah, you bringing everything.
Yeah.
All your problems. Yeah. You're bringing yourself with you. Like what you was running from, you're bringing with you. So it's like you never got yourself together. But you got to search this. You got to search yourself.
You do.
And then go somewhere else, and then you can be a blessing to somebody.
Yeah.
You know? So if I would have left, I would have been just
me.
With more problems. Just bringing stuff that I never dealt with. You know? I had to realize like, nah, you got to stop running. You got to deal with yourself. You got to look at the man in the mirror. When you point the finger at somebody, make sure you stand in front of a mirror. You gotta get this thing together. And you know, I had to realize that my leaders care about my soul. Like I said before, like y'all care about my soul. Like y'all responsible. Man, let me tell you something. That's word. That's the scripture too. The blood is required on your hands. Like, you know how serious that is? That is serious for leaders, man. Like, and we can't get so offended. But it's like, man, we gotta get out of here because the world is nothing nice. You know what I'm saying? And we had to realize, like, every ministry ain't for you, you know? Like, I had to realize, like, I can't be nowhere where I'm going to get told, everything's good, you're pretty, No, I don't need that. I need somebody to me, for real. Like, I need that love, like that firmness, man. And when I think about my apostle, I think about Paul. You know, Paul was, he was very strong, tough, strong-willed. And when the Lord blessed him, and he was delivered. He gave all that fervent that he had to the Lord. That's how I look at you. I don't look at you like as being strong and then to the point where you just browbeating everybody. Nah. I see what God has you. I see the mission that He has you on, and I see what you're a grace for. So I'm all in for it, you know. So when I see you, I'm like, man, I love it. Like I wouldn't have you no other way. I wouldn't have you no other way, man. You a bishop, I wouldn't have you no other way. It's just so beautiful to see y'all, like, and I knew y'all for years, so it's good to see the growth. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I don't see how people, people just too easily offended in this nowadays. I just thank God where He has me. I know that I was a bigger problem.
But you know what? We have to admit that I think it's easy for us to say now that I don't see how people do or say or feel because we're in a better place than what we were before. But I just think back of when I was in a ministry, and I now label myself as I believe I was a big problem. I really do. I probably wasn't as bad as other people, but I was a big problem. And the reason I was a big problem is because what I thought, what I thought about my leader, what I thought about the ministry, what I thought, even though I was doing everything I was supposed to do, is what I thought about a thing. And there are times where, and I tell you guys often, I inbox my old pastor and I'm like, I'm sorry, I apologize, I'm sorry, because you don't understand the weight. It's back to the first question I said, you don't understand the weight, the burden of carrying a ministry and people. You don't understand it. Where you may have prejudged, you may have criticized, you might have done so many different things, and now you see you was just a stupid fool. You was a fool for saying different things. You was dumb for, and I know it sounds derogatory what I'm saying, but I realized that's what I was. I was not who I could have been in the ministry to the man of God. And even when I thought I was good, I'm finding out I could have done better. I'm like, because I look at my life, I'm like, I really thought I was doing something, but I really could have done more, you know? And I think for this podcast here is my hope that people will understand that you don't have to wait till God calls you to something else, that you can understand it now. The weight of what you are called to and how important it is, what God has graced you to do and why it's so needful in the ministry. And a lot of times when people honor their leaders, they see people as, oh, they're sucking up to their leader. Oh, they did this. No, it's the honor that I think Minister Jess said, it's the honor that you have for God, that you're able to honor your leaders, that you're able to give your all to the ministry, because ultimately it's not their ministry. It belongs to God. I'm doing the work of the Lord. And the Bible says only what you do for Christ will last. Yeah, I feel your spirit like you want to say something. I'm going to give you an opportunity to say something.
There's so much going through my mind right now that it's not even funny. I'm trying to get a hold of all the thoughts that's going in my mind because, like Minister Jay said, I had like a little Olympic chain. My track was I had chain. It was on shelves. Finished shelves. And I think back on the times that I always wanted to run away. And a lot of times I was deeply in my feelings about whatever was being said. And it was like, God was like, get out of your feelings. Because your feelings will cause you to miss destiny. Yeah. Your feelings will cause you to miss a covenant relationship.
You better say it.
Because we have to understand when you honor, I'm talking about honor right now. And I thought about like in the sense of, you know how the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He puts under shepherds to help lead the ministry. When you're honored, remember that homework assignment about honor.
Yes,
it's one of those things that is something weighty in your life. It's something that holds value, it holds weight in your life. It's more precious than gold. Yeah. So it's like when you're in a place of honor, you're not going to try to step away from that. You're not going to become a track star no more. You're going to resign from that. You're not going to keep running and running from the things of God, running from what God called you to be under. Because there was times that I would write a little letter. And it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? God got me all the way together. Like, you need this. Yeah. And you are no good on your own. Literally, like I said before about the sons of Korah, the earth would have swallowed me up. And it's one of those things like people, listen, y'all, read that when you get a chance. If you struggle with rebellion, read that. Because they were struggling with rebellion. They walked up against Moses and Aaron, thinking that they could do a better job than what they were doing. What ended up happening? Step back, I'm gonna handle it. And they got swallowed up in the earth. And thank God, a few passages down, you see that the sons redeemed themselves. Like, listen, that may have been our fathers, but we got ourselves together. Because you have to understand the posture of your heart that you have to have in the house of God. There's no way that you could say out of your lips that you honor the man and woman of God, and your actions of your heart are saying something totally different. Because that was my posture for so long. I would say it out of my mouth, but my heart, I had a real bad problem with honor. I said it out of my mouth. Like, honor, I love you guys. Stand in front of everybody, give out the little cards. I love you guys. And I'm giving you my money and things like that. But my heart says something totally different. And God, after those things that we store up in our heart that we don't say nothing to a man about, but God, He sees it. He knows it's there, because it will trip you up. It will really trip you up. And you trip and trying to get your balance, and you can't, because here you are putting your mouth on your man or woman of God. You saying you honor them on one side. It's like you're talking out both sides of your mouth. One side, oh, I honor them. Next time they come to you with something that you don't like, all of a sudden the honor disappears. Honor is not transactional, where it is like 1 second is there, next second is not there. You say something I like you. Next second you say something I don't like you. You gotta get it together. We cannot think the man or woman of God is supposed to dilute what God is telling them. That's good. That's good. The policy must still be there, because it messes up the effect of what's really supposed to happen in our lives when He's talking to us about different things. So. I'm sorry, I'm bubbling forth with a lot. That's something I really struggle with. It took a lot to admit that you struggle with honor. Like, I've been under y'all for how long?
Since the beginning,
And then just realized, like, it wasn't until, like, I think last year, I had to go through a season, like, of my heart posture, which is my heart was filthy. My heart was wicked. And it's one of those things that God had to sit me down for a season to really get, like, you really need to see the condition of your heart. You are literally on life support right now.
And I remember Minister Elaine, when the Lord told me to sit you down, I did not want to do it. And I had tears in my eyes as I was telling you. I said, I gotta sit you down. Like, the Lord said, I gave you chance after chance after chance after chance, and you never did anything about it. I got it. And I could see your little puppy dog eyes. Your eyes was watering. And then, as time was going on, I felt your heart. I know you was feeling like everything is slipping away from me, because God was stripping you of everything. He was taking everything, and I couldn't do nothing because I knew it was the work of the Lord. I remember one time the Lord told me to ignore you.
That was a hard season.
God. He told me.
And God literally, it's like, God. That's my hands away, like, you stop.
He told me to ignore you, pay her, because he knew what was in you. He knew that you needed attention. You needed attention. He said, don't you stroke her need for attention. So there was times I would walk right past you. You would say little stuff to me, and it was like little word, like I would barely open my mouth, because the fear of the Lord was in me. Like, I knew, he said, if you intervene with this, you gonna get it too. I knew it, like, you gonna get it. So I knew that not just you, but people thought that I was being cruel to you, but I was following.
Some people didn't know what was happening.
No, some people didn't know, but some people thought I was being cruel to you. And I knew I couldn't go against God. I knew I couldn't go, but it was a rough patch.
It was rough.
Oh my God, it was a rough patch.
To your point, Apostle, what you're saying, like, it was a rough patch for you too, as the senior leader, as her spiritual mother.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand where we get this thing from, to think that our leaders don't feel.
Right.
Just because they're carrying out the will of the Lord, but they feel just as much as we feel. But they have to do what God told them to do.
Yeah. And to the point of what you said about we feel, it's unfortunate that in the body of Christ, we hear often a lot of times about church hurt. My leader did this, my leader did that. The people did this, the people did that. But no one ever talks about the hurt of the leader. No one ever talks about the hurt of the leader, where the leader, no matter what goes on, still has to push through whatever is taking place. And to be honest, I remember a time we was all on a Zoom, and we was having a Zoom meeting, and I felt the heart of God. And I said to myself, I hope these fools don't think I'm sitting up here crying because they did something to me, because like I said, Apostle has tough skin. I went through a lot in my life. Like, I have tough skin. And maybe it's a part of rebellion in me that I'm not going to let you see me cry. I'm not going to let you see me cry. I go in the room and cry by myself, but that's probably another thing the Lord working on, but to know the heart of God, we was on a Zoom meeting, and something was, I think we was in disagreement or something, like we was going through something, and I could hear the heart of God say, do these people understand what they are doing to me? Now, as leaders, because sometimes in leadership, we could be full of ignorance and don't understand it's not what you are doing to the ministry. It's not what you're doing to your senior leaders. It's what you're doing to God, that you're stopping the flow, that you're creating a barrier, things that are unnecessary. And where we all should be like a help, and we should all be like running to assist. And so my question to you, because I know we probably gone in our time, but my question to you is, how do you move from the position of being willing to graduating to it's my call. How do you move from that? I'm willing to help. I'm willing to do, because willing is kind of like on your terms. You understand what I'm saying? How do you get from that place to this is what I'm called to do? I'm called to assist. I'm called to be the answer. I'm called to be the solution. How do you get to that place? Because sometimes we celebrate in the place of willingness. I'm doing what no one else is doing. I'm here when no one else is here. You know, I'm doing what's required of me. You know, I'm meeting the expectation. How do you get from that place to I'm called to do this? Regardless of if someone says thank you or not, or if I'm acknowledged or not, or if, you know, whatever, or if it's I'm called to do it or not, if it's they ask me to do it or not, I'm still trying to see what I can do to help. Because I want to see this thing successful. I want to see this thing run in the full capacity that God has called it to run to. And I really feel like we are in that place. I really do. Like, it's not something that is made up or is faking. Like, what could I do to help this get better? You know, how go ahead. You can go. Go ahead.
I believe you have to come from a place of conditional to unconditional.
Yeah, that's good.
Because when you feel as though you're willing to do something, it is based on your terms, but it's also conditional. I don't want you to yell at me. I don't want you to push me too hard. That means that I may break if I get rebuked, or I may run if I get rebuked, or that may bring about a spirit of offense. Whereas though this is my call. That means if I never get acknowledgement, if I never get a thank you, if I get rebuked and get told off in front of people, I'm still going to stand right there and go forward and do what I am called to do, because it's not about me. It's not like my little feelings. Like I could talk to the Lord to help me out with my feelings, but it's not about that. It's bigger than my feelings. And I know, like for me personally, if I give into my feelings and I let them start playing little roles and little parts, you can forget about it. I'm going to spiral into big baby mode. And I waste time. I waste time because now I'm going to sulk there for a little bit. And it's going to take me a minute to come out of it. And now that's spiraling other thoughts that don't even have nothing to do with what took place. And so, this is why it's very important that when you decide to do something and understand that it's your call, that you're doing it unconditionally and for the purpose to glorify God, because that is the place where He has you. And it's a selfless act.
It is. It is.
When you put yourself into it, then that's when, things can teeter on being conditional. Because now you got feelings and emotions. Yes.
Yeah.
For me, mine was just looking at my leaders, like God. Like I don't see you as I look at you guys because I know God sent you. So I look at you. If I'm dealing with you, I'm dealing with the Lord.
Yeah, that's good.
I know the Lord has called you to. He has called you, and what He said, I know the plans I have for you. So He gave you guys the vision. And I want to be a part of that vision no matter what. I'm not going to be a hindrance to it. I'm not going to put a monkey wrench in it. But my thing was looking at you and seeing God. Like, seeing what God put over us. Like, I get prophecy. Like, even if it ain't what I want to hear, or you got to straighten up or whatever, that's God talking. I don't take it. That's why I don't take offense to it, because I know that it's coming from the mouth of God, from my leaders. I know that God kissed me. He loves me. What He said? He said, He'll lead me besides the still waters. He says, rod and staff, they comfort me. So, even if it's a harsh word that I think about, it's still going to comfort me. He's going to leave me there to break. He's going to comfort. Even if He's taking everything from me and tearing me down, He's going to comfort me in it. Bring me back up. I know that's what you guys are here for. So I look at you like I would look at God. Bottom line.
Wow.
And that's how I look at it.
Wow.
Like everything I do, I'm doing it unto the Lord. Bless you, I'm doing it for God. God here. I'm blessing your manservant. I'm blessing your prophet. And I want to do it because I want to please God. I really love Him, because let me tell you something, man. Until you lose something, You don't know how special that is. I left a ministry and was lost. It was like wolves, and it's funny because you go back to the world, like, and all the dances, is old, like, everything's played out. And you go out there, it's like, man, I don't belong here.
Yeah.
So, like, I know what it's like to be out there, but they have to come back. That's why I just take this thing. So I'm just like, man, I'm not messing this up. I'm not being the one to mess this vision up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So whatever God needs me to do, I'm all in.
Yeah.
You know? I look at you guys like, this is God speaking right here. He's speaking to my leaders. He's speaking for me. And he's not lying. Like, God's not a man that he should lie. Like, the prophecies come to pass. Like, like, what more proof do you need?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? God is in this place. Like, he's showing himself every Sunday is something new.
Yeah. It's amazing.
I'm like, man, you know God is here. So how can you even be against that? How can you be against that? There's so much evidence. There's so much proof of his spirit being here.
Yeah.
So for me, I actually identify with that, because if I was to be honest, this dream that I had a long time ago kept replaying in my mind this morning. I had dreamed that we were in this place, a hotel room or something like that. And I remember I was on the outside of the door, and you were inside the room, and you closed the door. And I remember this room was dark. But I had that dream like years ago. I had it a long time ago. But it was replaying in my mind this morning, and I was saying back to the Lord, I said, I never want to be in that place again where I'm separated from your divine plan for my life, your divine will for my life. So everything that I do, down to the smallest thing, whatever it is, I feel like there's such a joy and appreciation that I had the chance to do it. Because I felt like there was a period of time where I felt like I was really seriously about to be out of the will of God for my whole entire life. And I just never want to be in that place again. So for me, it's everything that I can do, whatever it is that I can do for you, Lord, I'm doing it. If it may seem like it's extra to other people, but that's so fine. I'm going to do it, Lord. Whatever it is, whatever your will is, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. You know, because we got to close up, we'll keep talking. If you had ministry advice to give to those who are out there listening, in the leadership role, from where you were to where you are now, what would you advise? What would be your first to second thing to tell them when you are operating in the capacity in which you operate? What would you say to them? Yeah, that is heavy. Because I think why it's so heavy is because we know where we came from. Like, the people that's listening to us don't know our whole entire story as a ministry. And let me just say, we came through the trenches. It really doesn't matter how long somebody been here or not. We have been through the trenches, and this ministry started from the ground up. And there was some ebbs and some flows. There was some great moments, and there was some low lows. You know, there was some minimal mistakes and big errors. You understand what I'm saying? From both parties, from leadership to those who were just, I don't want to say just, but those who are in the pews. We have went under a great transformation, and he has done a great thing in our life. Is it that we are perfect? Absolutely not. But I can say that we are affirmed in who we are, and we embrace all that God has for us to be in this ministry and we're so looking ahead. We're looking ahead to, and there's no isms, there's no schisms, there is boldness, not just in an apostle, but in everybody. And you know, I just gotta say this because I laugh. I remember Minister J called me on the phone. She said, Apostle, I'm gonna tell you what I did. I said, okay, because I was in the kitchen cooking. I said, okay. And she just ran down what she did. She was like, I'm trying to get myself together. And I can't promise you things gonna change quickly, but they change it. I said, all right. She said, I know I was wrong, but I'm gonna go get it right. But I'm gonna promise you this. I can't tell you that it ain't gonna happen again. I said, okay. Because that's where we at.
Yeah.
We're recognizing where we truly are as a group together and as individuals. And we understand we ain't got time for these immature games we played before. We don't have time for it. And one thing I can say about the leadership is I'm so excited that I don't get to hear all the nonsense, that y'all figure it out amongst one another. And, you know, me and Bishop is really able to do ministry without a whole bunch of foolishness, and that's not to be taken lightly.
No, it's not.
That is really not to be taken lightly. So in all that we went through, and I'm sure there's more that may even come, but we are well established in where we are. And we're so concentrated on what God has for us in the future. So what would you tell people to get to this point to where we are right now, that you found out in yourself that needed to be cultivated or needed to be, you know, kicked out, or, you know, or what needed to grow up in you, mature in you, so that you can help other people that are leaders to a leader? There are leaders to a leader. What would you help them? I know a lot of times you all said pride and different things of that nature, but give them a solution. Give them an answer to how they can be a better assistance to the ministry. Go ahead, Minister J. Look like you about to say something.
So the first thing that's coming is working them things, those hang-ups in us, because it almost goes back to my first answer, because those things will bleed on everything. So you really, and because I feel like once we make our mind up that we're going to serve God, right, I've come to this conclusion that it's us that starts getting used against us. So just be aware not to allow those hang-ups to be used against you.
Yeah.
Be proactive and be willing to face you, no matter how it looks. Because sometimes it may look, I mean, we don't want to believe it. Face those things. So that's what I would say to somebody. Face you and look you in your face.
Yeah.
And be willing again.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yes.
This is not going to be, let's be honest, it's not a one-time process thing. Like, we're working, that's the meaning of working things out in yourself. You don't just say one day, I'm a liar, and then prayerfully you're going to be a liar tomorrow. But, like, if you're a chronic liar, that person has to be of not, like, lying. So, don't dupe yourself is what I'm saying. Don't think that it's power done on the altar, but just don't think that it's just an altar call that's going to solve it, because I feel like that's how the enemy creeps back up, allowing us to think that we were delivered from something.
Yeah.
And don't be don't do this for man.
That's good.
Don't be a man pleaser. Don't be a people pleaser. Like, if you think that the things you do, you're doing it to get a dad boy, a dad girl, or you're doing it to please your leader, don't do it. Do it unto God, because that's what's going to last. And then it'll be more effective, because man will let you down. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You might not get what you want. You know like, you might not get to the accolades that you think you deserve. And that's, you know, that spirit of offense comes in. And it's like, oh man, you know, they ain't even notice me today. Now you're in a whirlpool of hurt. Now you're honorable, and now you spread that around to everybody else. Like, and then another thing, you know, like, don't be a people pleaser. Do it for God. And then it's watch the spirit of comparison.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's
In
good.
your lane.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know, and just flourish in your gifts.
Yeah.
Flourish in the gifts that God gave you.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I'm telling you, I was so confused. I was like, yeah, I want to do this. I had all these things I want to do for the Lord, but yet I'm not working at any of that. You know, I'm doing something total opposite. So like now I'm like, God, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
What is it that you want me to do?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that's what it's about. Like, don't try to, you know what I'm saying? Don't compare yourself with everybody else. Just stay in the flow, because like we're a well-oiled machine.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody plays a part. You got the pistons, you got the rings, you got the engine, you got all these things that's working together for one cause, with one body. You know what I'm saying? So just be you.
Yeah.
Play your part, play your position.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'll go. I would say for you to be honest about where you are,
Yeah.
where you are not,
Mm-hmm.
and where you're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
As I think, like earlier, I talked about being sat down, and you know, it could one or two outcomes could have happened through that happening. But I thank God on today, I can actually look back and see that it saved my life.
Yes.
And
Yes.
had
Yes.
it not happened, who knows where I would be right now? I'll be honest. I don't know where I really would be. So it's one of those things, be honest about where you are. And if you need to sit yourself down, like sometimes you don't wait for your leaders to come to you, hey, these ain't looking too well with you right now. What's going on? You know where you at. Yeah. Be willing to sit yourself down to get yourself together with God, not by yourself.
Yeah,
with
yeah,
God,
yes,
and with
yeah.
Godly
Counsel, yes.
Because if you get counsel from somewhere else, it's not going to render a good effect in your life. But it's important to know where you are, because you could think that you have arrived to a place and you are in a total, you in Delulu.
Yeah.
You didn't realize that you were in Delulu. And now you take for every other person that realize where you are.
Where's Delulu? A town?
It's free.
It's like a lot of people take residence there, but it's one of those things, if you really truly be honest and you desire change and transformation in your life, that you'll be honest about where you are, so God can deliver you from where you are, so you can get to where you're supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen. Amen. Amen.
I would say check your motives. Check your motives. There's one thing when you understand what you're called to do, but then you also need to, and then there's another thing when you question, or where you can question or be questioned as to why you're doing something.
Yeah.
And you have to really be honest with yourself about it. Those hidden thoughts, those reasons that made you come forward. Because I'll be honest, majority of everyone in ministry and in leadership is not going to tell you that there's something that they volunteered to do. And a lot of people, majority of everyone will say that they played the little tug of war.
Yeah.
But I would definitely say to check your motives. I believe it's in Proverbs where it say, we may have our own plans, but the Lord's plan will prevail.
Yes.
You may think that you're coming into something with your own motive or with your own hidden agenda to do things a certain way or to have a certain posture in something. Understand the Lord's plan will always prevail.
Yes.
So I would definitely, because you always want to make sure that the things that you do, you're operating from a clean filter. You always want to make sure that you have clean hands and a pure heart. Because that is what's going to be reflected upon the people. And you don't want to, I think someone said it before, you don't want to bleed on the people. And where they're trying to already get delivered, they're going to end up struggling even more. So we have to be careful with that.
Yes, that's good. That's good.
I was taken back to the scripture where Jesus was washing the disciples' feet. And it made me think of, first and foremost, we are to be servants.
Yes.
If that is our primary function in the earth, is to serve. We cannot lead if we don't know how to serve.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That is good. And servitude stretch. Yes. And servitude requires sacrifice. If you're not willing to sacrifice leadership, is definitely not for you. You will have to sacrifice, and I mean sacrifice in all areas of your life. You wanted to say something else?
I did. I wanted to say something because you were talking about you said you and Bishop, you feel like you can focus on ministry now, and because you have a leadership team. And I remember we had went through, I think it was the month of November, where we all was rotating and taking on the things that y'all do. When you count it all up, like the services and the prayer call, the prayer call. We talked about a 3-hour call where you're not just like you're praying, but it's also you're pouring into people. You're praying for people, and then the Holy Spirit will give you other things. So it's like it's all of that. You got the people. You're weighted down by the people's thoughts, their feelings, their problems, their issues. What God wants to do. This is not just a one-day thing. This is an everyday thing. So to think of that capacity that you have to have in order to be in that leadership position, we can't take it lightly.
It reminds me of my son, where my son said, because I told my son one time, I said, the Lord is calling. He don't want to hear it. He rejects everything that means. I said, well, you could come willingly, or you could come, And he looking at me like, you crazy. He's like, no, I do not want to do what you and Daddy do. I said, why? It's an honor for God. I'm saying what's supposed to be said. He's like, it take your whole life. I guess he said, I got a lot of life to live. Not now, Ma, not now. Listen, thank you for joining us on today, just hanging out with us and the crew. Again, this is National Leadership Day. We want you, if you have any leaders, we want you to be intentional about honoring your leaders on today. You still got time to honor your leader. Be intentional about it. There is a great reward in honoring leadership. Listen, the reason why we did a lot of these podcasts is, again, I'm not sure which order this one will go in, is to show you that a lot of people aspire to be in leadership, but do not know all the intricate parts of it. This is something that is full of detail. It's full of sacrifice. It's full of surrender and submission. And I want to let you know that maybe, possibly, you will hold off from being so critical of your leadership, because it is such a thing of having an imperfect leader, but one that loves God. Make sure you find yourself not assisting the devil. Don't be a barrier to the ministry and to the things of God. God bless you. Thank you for joining us at A New Perspective with A New Church. God bless you. Bye.
Bye.
Somebody got to cut it off.
I was like, you say?